Hey guys, it's Matt reporting from Cars and Couches Studios. So, as you guys may know, if you guys seen one of my past videos, I ended up moving to New York City. And if you look at my most recently posted, previous to this video, you guys will know that I sadly turned in my Mustang. But today I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about transportation in New York City and how you get around New York City. For those of you who are planning on going to New York City, whether it's for a vacation or actually moving there. So there are main ways to get around in New York City. I'm going to try to hit on each one of those ways. So of course you have the yellow cab. You have the yellow taxi. It's the most famous thing of transportation. When you think New York City, you think of a yellow cab. And essentially what your yellow cab is it's a yellow taxi that has a light on it, and when the yellow light is illuminated, that means that you can hail it. And actually the yellow taxi is the only vehicle in New York City that you can hail from a street. So meaning, just like you may have seen in movies, you can actually be on a street corner or on the side of a street, pull your hand out. If you see a taxi that's available, they'll come and get you, and they're the only people that can do that. And the problem with that is they're super expensive. You can actually go online and see how they charge for that, but they start you off at a set rate. I think it's like $3 when you get on it. And depending on if they're going, I believe it's like 12 or 18 miles per hour. If they're going over that, then it's 50 cents for every fifth mile. And if they're going less than that, it's every 30 seconds you rack up another 50 cents. So it can be expensive. Another way, when it comes to vehicles is going by Uber or Lyft, and I gotta say that is expensive as well. I've been doing it a lot, and I know I shouldn't be. I should just start, commuting more so with the MTA, and I'll get into what that is. But I Uber and Lyft a lot, and it's just so expensive. To give you guys an idea about how much money it's gonna cost, I'm living in an area called Kew Gardens in New York City. It's in Queens, and it's smack dab in the middle between LaGuardia and JFK Airport, and I'm centrally located. For me to go to either of those locations, it takes like 20 minutes to get there, and it ends up costing me like $23, $25 on average. So if you do the math, it's over $1 per minute. So it's a ridiculous price to pay, but it's a great way to get around if you want to get somewhere without the hassle of having to get to a station on time, or just dealing with that. You're tired, you just want to get back to the hotel or your apartment or your house or wherever it is. Um, Getting an Uber or Lyft is definitely quick and easy. Um, and then again, going back now, let's talk about what the MTA is. So the MTA is the Metropolitan Transport Authority, and that is the transportation system in New York City that would comprise of your subway system, your rail system, and also the buses. And there are so many buses, there are so many subways, there are so many different routes that they take. You can get everywhere in New York City using this. And essentially what you do is when you're at one of the stations, you go up to this little vending machine, this kiosk, and you get this flimsy little card called a Metro card. And on there you charge it, you put money on it, and then it costs, every single time you slide it to get onto the subway, it costs, I think, like $1.50 to like $3.50. I can't remember what it is, but you're going to be paying somewhere in there to use that system. When you're using the subway, and here's the most difficult thing about using this whole entire system. You will always need to use a phone application or your maps on your phone to get around if you plan on commuting using the MTA, because nobody, unless you just happen to have studied the subway system and all the routes in New York City that the buses and the railway system go, you're not going to know where to go. So essentially what I do is, if I'm trying to go somewhere, let's say since I live in Queens and I'm trying to go to Manhattan just to go out for the day and to do something fun, I'm going to go ahead and take that address, I put it in, and I have an iPhone, so I just go on Apple Maps, put in where I want to go, and then you have a separate thing where you could choose whether or not you want to drive it or you're walking it, or then you also have like subway or like transit. You click on that and it tells you exactly what to do. So it'll essentially say, if you leave by this time, it'll take you 6 minutes to get to the station. From there, you need to grab this, and it'll be like the Q train or something like that. and it'll tell you that you have to get on this, and it'll tell you if you have to get off at a station to get onto a different subway to get, because not all the subways will go exactly where you want it. You have to get off of one and then get onto another one to get to your exact location. Maybe you might have to get off 3 times, you might have to get off 4 times. Who knows? It depends on where you're going. But it's easy, and there's definitely a lot of fun that you can have when you're actually when you're going that way, because you'll see a lot of things on New York subways. But yeah, that's how you get around that way. Another way to get around is to bicycle. You'll see that there are a bunch of third-party companies that will allow you to rent bicycles, but even that can be expensive. I remember I rented out a bicycle. I actually was with a friend, and me and her ended up getting a tandem bike and rented it for 4 hours. I think in the end it cost me like 40 to 60 bucks. I'm pretty sure it was 60 bucks. So it was expensive, but it was totally worth it. Like if you're going to New York City for a few days, definitely get a tandem bike and go across the Brooklyn Bridge with a friend. It's just a fun experience to have. But that's one way, is you can get bicycles. And I know that the city, like the bank, they have bikes that you can go and rent, and it's essentially like you download an app, and then you scan the QR code, and then you rent the bike for so long, and then when you park it, you press end on it, and then they charge you for that. And then, of course, you guys have walking. You can, I think because the way that we think of how New York City is, because it's big, everybody thinks that it's so, everything is so far from each other, and it's really not. You can walk to a lot of places, because although New York is and I still believe it's the most populous city in the entire United States, it's really not that big. We just think of it as being big because of what we see in movies and what we think about New York City, but it's not that big. It's comprised of 5 boroughs, yes it is, but to go from, Brooklyn to Queens, or to go from Brooklyn to the Bronx, or to go from the Bronx to Manhattan, you could walk these. I wouldn't go from the farthest tip of New York to the other farthest and try to walk that, because, maybe you don't like to walk that much, but, it's definitely possible. It would take a while, but those are your main ways that you're going to get around in New York City. And overall, it's super, super expensive. You don't need a car in New York City. If you plan on going to New York City, you don't need a car. And a lot of people who do have cars don't use their cars, because they end up using their Metro card to save gas, to avoid traffic, which there's a ton of, especially if you're going into downtown Manhattan. And it's just an easier way to get around. So my experience so far is that, New York is definitely a really cool city. It sucks that I don't have my car over there anymore, but I just kind of want to talk to you guys about how I'm getting around and what it's going to be. Like I said, the main thing is it's expensive unless you're using the Metropolitan Transport Authority, whether you're using the rail system or you're commuting by subway or you're walking. Transportation in New York City is going to be expensive. But if you're ever thinking about going there, have a great time in New York City. Let me know. Hit me up. We'll go out for drinks or something. And if you have any questions, leave some comments in the comments section. Email us. Find us on Instagram or on Facebook. And if you want to know anything more about New York City as a car enthusiast, feel free to reach out. Also, guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.